And then finally, don't get left behind. I would submit that, the typical, approach of an incumbent, which is, well, let's just ignore it and hope that it goes away, is in fact the erroneous sort of conclusion to draw here. And I think you heard, the folks at Red Bull say it earlier, where, make errors of commission, not omission. This is no longer a time to sort of sit on the sidelines. So there's a lot of agency folks in the room, and so I figured I'd close this, and we'll move to the next part of the session with a little bit of creative of my own. So if we get some volume on the back here, because this is lower, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy this while I slick away.
Hello, clients. Take a look at your typical investment banker. Now back to me. Now back to the banker. Now back to me. Sadly, he isn't me. But if he stopped hanging around the hoop and worked up funnel, he could add value like me. Look down, back up. Where are you? You're in a boardroom with the advisor your banker doesn't act like. What's in your hand? Back at me. I have it. It's a term sheet with an offer at multiples of your last funding round. Look again. The term sheet is now cash. Anything is possible when you hire the right strategic advisor and not just a banker. I'm on a BlackBerry.
I know what you're thinking. Stick to your day job. I do find the use of humor is, listen, I'm looking for your attention and retention, and I find humor just helps that out a little bit. So, all right, that sort of laid a little bit of the groundwork. What we're going to do now, though, is do sort of point, counterpoint, and get perspectives from two experts about this ecosystem and how we're going to deal with it. At first, we have Cathleen Ryan from MEA, who is best described as a digital agency expert, and Brendan Moorcroft from Cadreon, which has got a job that's probably best described as where agency meets technology. So I'm going to ask these two experts to give a few thoughts of their own, and then we're going to sort of dig into it.
Thanks, Terry. So the first point is, let's jump forward. Let's see if we can put a question. Can we put the two questions on that we're going to ask? There we go. Okay. So first question for us to discuss today. Looking at that chart, is it simply too complex? Is it chaotic? Or, as Terry identified, does it identify new opportunities for people? So my first point was, before seeing Terry's video, which was really scary, is the chart's really scary. It creates fear. It does actually create marketers, agencies, and clients to be paralyzed. You look at it and you have no idea where you should start, what the value of each of these companies are. We tend to make things significantly more complex in the digital space. I'm not sure why we're all attracted to doing this, but we really do that. And the burden of proof on the digital agencies has always been significantly greater than our traditional counterparts. So by overemphasizing the complexity of it, we are preventing the growth of digital that we have all predicted and that we want. We have become incredibly well-versed in polishing digital pennies. That chart just reinforces the fact that if there's not some of that consolidation, if there's not some of the change to a more simplistic environment, people are still going to stay away. And that's a huge concern for us.
I like the polishing digital pennies. I might use that. That's nice. I'm going to take a different approach to this. I actually think that the chart represents an immense time of opportunity, especially for agencies. I know that I agree with Terry that we do have to earn our seat at the table and that there are some legacy infrastructures that just don't work anymore, especially on the agency side. But I look at this and I think it's an extremely exciting time. It's a time of huge opportunity. And I think with the innovations that are at every turn, the key for an agency is to really look at this landscape and say, what am I good at? What is my value proposition? And I actually would posit that we are best positioned to add value to this chart and to this ecosystem and to that conversation between brand and between advertiser. And I say that because ultimately what agencies have always done and what they're good at is connecting that brand value with consumer insight. That could be through a 30-second spot, it could be through buying the right keywords in search, or it could be through profound creative on rich media expanding takeovers and busting through our norms online. But it's ultimately that connection of delivering meaningful consumer experiences that are profitable to our clients' businesses. And I think this is really a key part of what agencies can deliver to this equation. And I don't know that any other person in this map or in this ecosystem can do that quite as well as we can. My second point, I think, on why I think it's a land of opportunity is it gives all of us in this room an opportunity to really differentiate ourselves. And it's something that didn't exist 20 years ago. It's not about scale. It's not about how big is my agency. It's not about strength. It's not how much can I buy or at what rates. It's really about how smart am I? What can I do that's different that no other agency and no other brand can do for themselves? And I think there's a lot of pockets of innovation and a lot of pockets of differentiation that are there for the taking. And it's a matter of each of us to kind of go back and figure out what are we good at? What is our unique value proposition? And what can we do for our brands that no one else can? So I see it really as a land of opportunity.
Okay. Now we're going to throw it to you. What do you guys think? Nancy, we're going to take
the next couple minutes to talk at your tables about the ecosystem, about the new chart. Actually, if we can bring the chart back up. And for those of you guys in the back, if you want to come up and just populate the tables so that we have rich discussions, that would be great. We're going to be lurking around, listening into your conversation, and then we'll share back the key thoughts that each of the tables discussed. Okay, everybody, we're gonna start sharing back some of the thoughts. I like it when I can't break up the dialogue. It means it's a hot topic.
We probably have mass. I'm not. Thanks for sharing.
Do we need to call attention?
Yeah. Okay, everybody.
Right.
We're gonna start sharing some of the thoughts that you guys have discussed at your table. All right, everybody, we're going to, like I said, I like when I can't break up the dialogue. I know then that it was a hot topic. We're going to start sharing some of what was discussed at each of the tables. So I'm going to start right here, actually. House rules are you have to stand up, say your name, say your company. There was a lot of optimism at this table. I think this table probably netted out on opportunity, and that it's the agency's role to mine the chaos on behalf of the client. Can we get someone here to stand and sort of share some of your thinking? Everybody's not making eye contact. Someone needs a Red Bull over here.
Come on.
Hi, I'm Paul Santella from Evolve Media. We were just saying that anytime there's chaos, it's always an opportunity for someone to kind of come in and simplify. And it's a good role for an agency because the agencies have always sort of been an orchestrator of lots of different types of services for clients. But one of the things that we were struggling with is most of the agency people that we know, or some people at the table work for agencies, they're too busy dealing with the day-to-day trials and tribulations of agency life to really kind of step back and make sense of that chart and figure out how to put it all together. So we were just saying, whose job at an agency is it to really kind of take that crazy, sort of messy, chaotic world and simplify it and really make sure that you're delivering the right, combination of those tools and technologies to your client.
Sure. I think that's it's a great observation. I think the biggest area for us is on that chart, one of the key pieces that's not emphasized enough is the tools to enable that ecosystem to work a little bit better. And that would be an exciting place for us to spend some of that VC money.
Well, and I would add to that, in terms of the agency infrastructure, I think the infrastructures of the past simply won't support this kind of new approach. And I think that's one of the challenges that we're all facing. Is it a media task? Is it an account strategy task? Is it an analytics task? I think those walls need to break down, and I think what we really need to learn is to be a little bit more fluid, and I think we're going to cover this topic soon, but I think it is a really big challenge. Does it fall on my plate or does it not? And I want to tie this back to those that were here at the at the agency-only session on yesterday, one of the great things that we went through, Tamara's time doing some kind of critical thinking exercises, I think it's important to relearn a lot of what we've already, how we approach things, and break down some of our thinking patterns so that we can bring in analytics into our media planning. We can bring in media into our creative planning. When we're concepting things, what is the media execution of it? What are the analytics I'm looking for in the back end? What is my optimization and engagement optimization strategy from the beginning? And so I think it is complicated, and I think it does break down a lot of the old agency walls and partitions, but I think it's critical that we do so. And I think those that can respond with agility and nimbleness are the ones that are going to get it.
Sounds like a lot of math and a lot less art than the Mad Men days. So to Terry's point, math men.
Absolutely.
That's okay.
Hi. Hey, Lauren Brown from Operative. So Catherine, I think you put it really well. It's like the role is certainly going to be TBD for the next 5 years because all that stuff up there isn't going to get any easier. And you know, we were just talking to Kevin over here, and he was saying, well, Red Bull was first out to just sell drinks, right? And now the whole thing is like, you know, their consumers are interested in their content and like engaging with their brand. So is that a role for the brand to play going forward, and only the brand? No, because brands didn't just wake up and say, I know how to do social media and get people to engage in my brand. So there's going to be a role for the agency in that sense, but also the agency has to play a role in sort of navigating through that clutter, right? So I think everyone's role, you know, there's so much opportunity. I think the opportunities for publishers, agencies, and brands alike.
Terry, what do you think? You want to wrap it up? I'd love your perspective on this. Opportunity, chaos, it's your chart.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely, definitively, the answer is yes.
Yes to which part?
Yes, that's correct. Thank you, Nancy. Yes, that's right.
Settle,
I agree
settle.
wholeheartedly. So yeah, it may be chaos from the perspective of who knows which company is going to, you know, figure out the right solution. And there's all, remember, they're all focused on very, very specific things. But overall, the learning, and here's the thing, one company discovers that, you know, if you use this particular type of data, you can actually improve results, you know, X, Y, Z. Well, guess what? I used to say it's a 6-month lead time. Now it's like 3 months, right? All the other companies will figure out, see what they're doing, because you've got all this data. You can sort of, you know, do the, you know, reverse engineering. And so everybody else is sort of learning all the, you know, latest technology techniques on a very, very rapid scale. Very difficult to have a sort of differentiated approach to the marketplace that lasts. That's good, by the way. That's good for the overall system, because more companies will get this figured out. The key thing is, so if there's huge opportunity, the question is, will the agencies be able to grapple with it? I've heard a lot of people say, well, the agencies have to make sense of this mess. Well, there are some large companies that view this as a massive opportunity. And these are not companies that we're familiar with in this room, at least as it relates to this industry. Companies like Accenture, companies like Oracle, companies like Adobe, Akamai. They're all looking at this landscape and licking their chops, because if you want someone to be the systems integrator to what is largely a SaaS-delivered technology solution, well, that's what they do. Someone said to me, Oracle, SAP, in advertising? I said, sure, they're in forestry, they're in transportation, why not advertising? And this is what they do for a living. They do it really well. So for the agencies who have the inertia, they have the customer, the client relationships, so they're in the pole position to be able to you know, carry on and be that systems integrator, but understand that it is somewhat of an unnatural act for them, right? The systems integrators, and Google is another example, the Amazon, these are all companies that are very, very used to that, and they, quite frankly, are a very different animal for the agencies to compete with in terms of that functionality.